I'm going to show you the method that I used to attach the collar to the quick sew robe with the zippered front. This is my pattern piece. I have the right side showing. This is the neck side and the front side. The zipper is already attached. I'm going to open the zipper now. Now I'm going to turn the pattern piece over to the wrong side and mark a 1/4 inch seam line, because this pattern has 1/4 inch seam lines. I'm going to use the next side first and then the front side. The intersection of the two lines is where I'm going to turn my fabric. Now I'm going to turn it back to the right side and get my collar piece. My collar piece is made according to the directions on the pattern. However, they do not clearly state that you open your pattern, your collar, before attaching it. You don't attach both sides. I'm going to attach the neck side only to my pattern piece. I'm going to pin it now. Next, I'm going to sew my collar onto the pattern piece. I want to tell you that I made it much longer than the pattern piece to allow for the turn. I'm going to flip it on this side, the wrong side, and sew it so I can see my seam line. I sew to the dot and then backtrack at the dot to reinforce that seam. I'm going to remove it. And turn and look at it from the front. Now I need to clip right to that point. I'm going to take my scissors and clip right to it, not breaking the threads, but right to the threads. This is so I can turn my collar, which I have made much longer than the pattern piece to allow for this turn. The object is to get the folded side of your collar next to your zipper. So when you're turning it, you want to turn it so that the folded side is next to your zipper. And you're only going to sew across the front to this dot. And I'm going to turn it over on the other side so you can see. I'm sewing from my dot to my zipper at a 1/4 inch seam. Now I'm going to the machine to do that. I just sewed from my dot to the zipper and I backtracked a couple times near the dot. Okay, this is what it looks like on the right side now. This is what you have. So what we have to do now is to press this, and then I by hand, well, first let me cut this off. I'm going to cut off this tail because I don't need it anymore. I've got it on. Now let me give you a little bit of advice about this. When you're sewing this seam, you may not get it the first time. You may have to do it several times. But that's okay. You left yourself plenty of fabric to do that. Now I'm going to turn this over and iron it, and then I'm going to hand sew this part down here. Okay? So let me go to the ironing board. I just came back from the ironing board. I pressed my seam. I did two things. I pressed this seam, and I took the seam allowance and I pressed it in towards the collar. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this under, and I'm going to hand sew my collar to the pattern piece, keeping all my cut edges inside. I'm also going to check on the right side to make sure my zipper closes all the way, and it does. There's no problem there. After I hand sew, I'm going to take and top stitch along my collar. And that is how you attach the collar to the front of the robe.